mindful drawing practice as kind of a visual or tactile form of meditation for me and being a doodler constantly, and that helping me bring attention when I'm trying to listen also can be a great way to focus. I think there's no intended outcome with these. So while I may draw a straight line, if you want to draw wiggly lines or if you want to draw circles, it's not so important. But I think for a quick session, one that can be kind of nice is to connect breathing to the movement of our hand and to the movement of ink or pencil or charcoal on a piece of paper, and let that repetitive action kind of guide us into a little bit of a quieter space and open up some softness in our mind. So I'm going to start by just moving my shoulders and hands a little to get my posture set. Take a good deep breath in and out. You may not be able to hear me breathing. I'll try to just be somewhat demonstrative with it, but breathe at your own pace. And anywhere on a piece of paper, sketchbook, scrap paper, I'm just going to draw a line out across the page as I breathe out. And when I'm done breathing, I'll stop. And I'm going to draw a line in another direction as I breathe in. And then a little pause and alternate to breathing out. And in. So you're starting to connect with those in breaths and out breaths. I'm beginning to have a bit of a pattern to them, going across with my out breaths and drawing down with my in breaths. Seeing if your breath moves evenly or very abruptly. Start to recognize that my ins are quick and end sharply. My outs draw along more slowly, taper off. And as I notice it, I can let it just happen. Not being concerned with a right way or a wrong way to breathe, just like this transfer of ink to the paper doesn't really have to follow a right way or a wrong way to draw. It just starts to transfer these daily, hourly, secondly rhythms that we have through our breath. Into something visual on the paper. And as it becomes an act of repetition, the growth of a visual field begins to create a drawing without giving it a pre-intention. And maybe we can find some comfort in not having to represent a thing or an idea, but just in the side to side, up and down, and in and out. Our breath and a page. And sometimes, especially while talking, I find I get a little off track. I switch my modes. And noticing this, just make a quick choice of do I stick with it or take a breath to recalibrate and begin the cycle again. And these kind of mindful, and as I often think of them, somewhat mindless activities as the motion of my arm, the motion of my breath, the motion of this pen on a piece of paper take over a bit of my consciousness. My thoughts quiet, and something is forming without me having to put that energy of purpose into it. I always like to end these sessions, are about half an hour when I do them on Wednesday mornings, as my arm gets a little tired and I become aware of that, and maybe I'm getting a little too fast and disconnecting. It's a good chance to step back and maybe look at what's on that page. It might be something that you have no interest in at all. It might be just kind of a mess of scratches, or maybe you see something in it that is interesting to you. And for me, drawing being kind of a medium of communication and thinking for my own personal practice, as well as just something I've done forever, I always like this moment to spend a couple of minutes continuing to breathe and just playing in this space that we've created. Maybe I track some lines that had more character to their shape, or link things across boundaries that only formed by the overlapping rhythms of my breath. And for me, this is just a chance to find something new and something discovered. And usually in the morning, start my day strong, but now doing it in the afternoon, be ready for a couple more hours of work and solving problems with an attention to my breath, my body in space. And try to bring some creativity and awareness to those tasks. And I get a little over-absorbed always in these because I just keep going and going with the drawings, usually in a session afterwards. I think that we have some time now, so I encourage to have a little playfulness with it and see where it goes, and just let it release some of that built up tension of a Friday into the ink and graphite on the piece of paper. If you start to feel your fingers getting a little tired, or your shoulder beginning to ache because you're reaching out funny across the desk or crimping your arm, I always find that's a good time to bring it to an end. Set the pencil down, stretch my fingers out, and be happy that I can remove this drawing from my desk, put it in the pile, or turn it over and start another one. Thank you for joining.